Britain, the island where there's a whole continent of holiday experiences. Where the past is always waiting just around the corner. And where there's a magical holiday waiting for you. British Airways can make it easier for you to make the most of Britain, with a choice of many luxury galleon coach tours, ranging from modern London to ancient Britain and the Scottish Highlands. You'll stay in some of England's famous old hostelries. You'll be shown round by an expert, knowledgeable courier. You'll sit back and enjoy yourself. It's a great way to see Britain, relaxed and carefree. And you see so much more. So whatever kind of holiday you like, remember, there's a galleon coach tour going your way. Our journey begins at Royal Windsor. And then on, down along the lazy, beautiful Thames Valley. When strolling neath the willows green, I saw the timeless Thames between. I strayed her sedgy banks along and hearkened to the river's song. The Thames leads us, inevitably, to Oxford, the city of the dreaming spires. Across Oxford every day, you can hear the sound of Great Tom, the town's finest bell, pealing out from the Tom Tower of Christ Church College. We're strolling in the grounds of the oldest university in Britain, in one of its oldest colleges. Oxford was King Charles's seat of government during the Civil War, and here at the Senate House is the seat of the present-day governing body of the university. Oxford's like a museum of stunning buildings, but it's also a living city, full of students and bicycles and bustling, colourful life. Away from the street's liveliness, the colleges create their own timeless air of tranquility. Here in Christ Church Dining Hall, for instance, where, as you look around, you'll be closely scrutinised by the greatest figures in the history of the college and find your voice sinking to a whisper. Then it's time for a lunchtime pint at a little riverside pub. Time to see Oxford's tranquil rivers. And time to watch the boats go by. Here, among those dreaming spires, you'll realize Oxford is still the same city Thomas Hardy wrote about. The buildings now lay quiet in the sunset, a vein here and there on their many domes giving sparkle to a picture of sober hues. 8 miles from Oxford is Blenheim Palace. Vanbrugh built it. Capability Brown landscaped the gardens. Winston Churchill was born here. Just the place to drop into before taking to the hills. The Cotswolds, that is. Gentle and undulating and full of picturesque English villages. All built in handsome limestone, some dark, some brown as honey. These hill villages, like Broadway, are well worth prospecting in for all sorts of little treasures. It could take you hours to choose something, but then, that's what makes antique hunting such fun. You'll enjoy having a break at a country pub as well. And make sure you try the local beer. By the time you've had your fill of antiques as well as the beer, you should be in just the right mood for the Bard of Avon. Because as we leave the Cotswolds, we're heading for Stratford, Shakespeare's country. In Stratford, you'll stay at the Shakespeare Hotel, the famous timbered house which once belonged to Sir Hugh Clopton. And all around you are memories of England's greatest writer. This, for instance, is the Tudor schoolroom, where he probably studied. Maybe he even carved his name on a desk like this. And this is Hall's Croft, where Shakespeare's daughter lived. As you explore it, you come across ancient guides to gardening. Or you could stumble upon another ancient pastime, Morris dancing. Later, why not cruise down the River Avon to the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, where every year thousands upon thousands of Britons and visitors come to see the greatest of plays, performed by an equally great company of actors. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And for a perfect end to your stay in Stratford, drop in at the famous Dirty Duck to watch the painters and continue your discovery of English beers. As night falls, like a final curtain. Wales, a land of valleys and rivers, aqueducts and horse-drawn barges, and song. And if Wales is the land of song, then Llangollen is the capital town of Welsh singing. Here, every year, the International Eisteddfod brings singers from all over the world. And Welsh choirs like these do their level best to outsing the lot. This house, Plas Newydd, was a favourite of the poet Wordsworth, who often visited and wrote about Llangollen. But here in the Lake District was his truest home. And here, at Dove Cottage, was where he lived. You'll walk in the gardens he loved and wrote about and usually worked in. And as you'll see, he was fond of all sorts of flowers besides those famous daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills. Nearby, on the Langdale Pikes, it's marvellous walking country. While down on the lakes themselves, such as Windermere, there's a vast choice of pleasant watery pursuits. Not a breath of air ruffles the bosom of this leafy glen. The brook itself, old as the hills that feed it, doth rather deepen than disturb the calm, where all things else are still and motionless. From the lakes of England, we take the high road north to the lochs of Scotland. These beautiful lochs are watched over by bonnet Prince Charlie himself, and by Britain's highest peak, Ben Nevis. Take a pleasure boat down Loch Katrine, hard by the High Trossachs. This is Rob Roy country, wild and wonderful, and just a few miles away, at Balquhidder, the famous outlaw lies buried. Glencoe, scene of the historical massacre in 1689. At the back of the glen is the place where an entire Scottish clan was murdered for forgetting to take an oath of allegiance to the new English king, William of Orange, a Dutchman. And so to sea, by ferry to the Western Isles, to Mull, where for centuries men have searched Tobermory Bay for a sunken Spanish galleon and its ancient treasure. Next to Iona, in the wake of St. Columba, who landed here in 563 AD. The Cathedral of Iona is one of the cradles of Christianity. Here were buried no less than 52 Scottish kings, not to mention princes and bishops. But above all, to the visitor, the Western Isles mean the island of Skye. You'll have a full day and a peaceful night to explore the beauties of bonny Prince Charlie's Island before taking the ferry back to shore, where a lone piper pipes us back onto land from the ramparts of Island Donan Castle, which the English destroyed and the Scots doggedly rebuilt. From lonely island Donan, we've arrived in the east, in Scotland's capital, Edinburgh. Old Riki herself. Here, on the city's main road, Princess Street, it's time to do a little more shopping. You could buy a length of your very own tartan and have it made up as a kilt by the Queen's own kilt maker. You could even buy yourself a set of bagpipes. Then, a walk down the Royal Mile, a visit to Rabbi Burns's house. In Edinburgh, as in the whole of Britain, there's almost too much to see and do. Dividing Scotland from the old enemy, England, is Hadrian's Wall, built by the Romans to keep out the barbarous Picts, who painted their skins blue with woad. It's one of the many remnants of the empire of the Caesars, and like the Roman Empire, it's in ruins. Once, all roads led to Rome. In modern Britain, they bring you by way of monasteries and cathedrals back to the beginning, to London. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. The city now does like a garment wear the beauty of the morning. One of the world's great cities, London remains a city of tradition too, full of that very British neighborliness of past and present. It's a city of parks and pleasures, a place to do exactly as you please. After all, as Dr. Johnson said, when a man is tired of London, he's tired of life. There are all kinds of holidays in Britain available through British Airways, and we've only had time to give you a small sample. Please ask British Airways or your travel agent for full details of the holidays waiting for you.